Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I just see that it's exactly 2 o'clock by that clock. So let's get started. This is another event, part of the, I think it's already 4 years or some of Council Connections. 2020 in the middle of the year. Okay. In any case, most of you are familiar. The opportunity today is to have Sue Close, that is the activities director, I believe it's manager, whatever title. And she's very involved with the activities in the health center. And Margaret is going to lead the discussion. And we will have time for questions and answers later. And let's take it from here.
Well, good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for coming to learn more about the very important part of our Woodland Pond community. We need to all remember that. As Yakov said, I'm Margaret Nyhouse. I'm a member of the Health Center Committee. And on behalf of the committee, and of course the excuse me. And I've been telling her to make sure she did it. On behalf of the committee and the Residents Council, which, as you see, organizes all of this, we want to welcome you. Nice group, and I appreciate it. I do want to encourage you, as you're listening to Sue's presentation, to think about how you might fit into this whole Woodland Pond Health Center volunteer, well, we shouldn't say volunteer, neighbor group that we have formed. So it's called the Neighbor Corps, and we're going to discuss that more later. I also encourage you to take a look at my sign here and remember that there's a tour of the health center, the first one of the season, on September the 22nd. That's the fourth Monday of the month, and there will be one each month except for November and December until May. So I hope you will come. We meet in the lobby. So my job is to introduce Sue Close and to ask her a few questions. Sue is the activities manager for the Health Center of Woodland Pond. And it has been my pleasure to know and to work with Sue ever since she arrived on campus. So my first question for Sue is just tell us a little something about where you have lived and maybe a little about your family as well.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming. It's so nice to see so many friendly faces. I am born and raised in Wappingers Falls. I live in the house that my father built. I lived 2 years in New Jersey after college and then moved back home to New York State to Wappingers. I am the youngest of 5, and I am the mother of 2 cats. Had a wonderful upbringing and a wonderful family. I don't have too much to say. I'm single, happily single, and have a wonderful group of friends, dear college friends that are, I'm sure many of you still are in contact with some college friends as well. I guess.
Okay, if you would just tell us a little bit about your education and how you happened to get into the activities field for healthcare communities, and also when you actually came to work at Woodland Pond and how you happened to come to Woodland Pond.
Okay, I have a BS from Elmira College, a BS in Human Services, and I am a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. I received that certification in 2005. I've been doing this. This has been my only profession, geriatric recreation. And I can remember I must have been 10 years old. We had our grandparents and great uncle and great aunts would visit us every summer from Florida. And all summer they would play games with us. And I can remember when I was 10, getting out the Scrabble game to play with my grandfather and realizing at that moment, and I could still see the box, it was maroon. I thought, gosh, I would love a job that I could get paid to play games with older people. And sure enough, when you get older and you realize there's an actual profession, it's certainly changed over the years. But I knew when I was 10 that this is the kind of work that I wanted to do. I was very lucky to start right out of college. I started at a beautiful facility similar to Woodland in West Orange, New Jersey. It was called Green Hill Memorial Center for Women. I think the name has changed, but it's still there, and it's a beautiful place. And then I became an assistant at another facility in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. My sister had some children, and I came home to be the great aunt that my aunts were to me. So I moved back home and a position in Thailand, and then spent 24 years at the Thompson House in Rhinebeck. And after Rhinebeck, my mom was ill, so I left my job to take care of her. And for a couple of years, just kind of bounced around, took some time off, and then was fortunate enough to land this position in April of 23.
Well, we're certainly glad that you landed here
Oh,
with us.
Thank you.
Many of the people in the audience, a wider audience that's watching us and might watch us because they are recording this, but are new to Woodland Pond, and they would like perhaps would like to hear you explain how your activities program fits in with the total Woodland Pond program for the health center.
Okay. Well, I realize our whole team realizes that we have a tremendous responsibility to enhance and promote the quality of life of everybody, regardless of physical or cognitive functioning. And I think we take it very seriously and we plan accordingly. There are some domains of activity planning, which I'll get into later, but it's something that I think, and I think I can speak for my team as well, we're very dedicated and committed to doing the best job that we can possibly do, and trying to give folks something to look forward to, or some glimpse of joy, especially for those who may be a little bit more impaired, not communicative. There are several residents that maybe more in their bed and they don't have as much stimulation. So making sure we go in to visit with those folks and provide activities based on things that they were once interested in. Bringing pet therapy, bringing music therapy, all different things that you can provide regardless of the resident's capability and functioning level.
My next question would be, I thought maybe the audience would enjoy hearing about a typical month of activities, not every activity because that would take us all afternoon, but a typical month of how activities differ from one unit to the other, because Sue is the activities manager for the entire health center, which includes all 3 units. So, and the activities do differ from one to one. So if you might tell us a little bit about each of those.
Sure. So as I mentioned, there are different domains of activities, and to make sure we have a balanced calendar, we want to have cognitive activities that will stimulate the mind, physical activities for that exercise, social activities, creative, spiritual, all those types of activities we try to incorporate. Ideally, you try to have something every day. Reality-wise, it doesn't always happen that way. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't mean that it's not being done through a one-on-one or a small group, maybe taken outside. A typical day may include exercise, music, some art program. Now that the nice weather is here, we take folks outside. We are blessed with several pet therapists that they will come in. One of the employees brings her dog in once a week. But there's a lot of thought that goes into the calendar, which if I may, I just wanted to share with everybody. The extensive thought that goes into it, and forgive me, I have to look at my notes. I know my big thing is to produce the wow factor. I want something where people will be wowed. And that was one of the things that when I first started, I shared with the team. We want to plan activities where people have something to look forward to. At least there's one thing on the calendar that people are looking forward to. Any kind of special event that we do, I'm not talking about someone that we bring in, something that we're planning, like a Wheel of Fortune that we did not too long ago. We want the wow factor, that people are going to be, oh, this is great, I want to come back. There's a lot of work that goes into the planning between researching, planning the event, calling and making the preparations if we're hiring somebody, the publicity, and I think this also is true for the folks over here in IL. Setting up the room and breaking down the room, moving furniture is a daily task. Decorating, paperwork, arranging free equipment if someone used to enjoy reading but is not able to anymore. We want to get talking books. And with regard to the change in someone's physical condition, we try to still adapt to what they can do with the available technology that's out there, which is amazing. We also do family calls, video calls. There was a wedding. The resident couldn't come to the wedding, so we set it up so the resident could watch the wedding on the iPad. Soccer games, they want their grandparent to see them playing, or great-grandparent playing soccer. Graduation, those type of things are also scheduled. We also have to coordinate with dining and Jason, again, with moving significant types of furniture. We do the chairs and the little stuff, but that heavy stuff, maintenance or Jason will come and help us. In between everything that's on the calendar, I mentioned there's a lot of other things that are going on in the interim. If somebody may want to go outside, oh, okay, let's schedule the time where we can get that person outside. So we're constantly going. It's a very busy department, and there's not a lot of breaks. And we know that. That's part of the job. My girls, we take an hour lunch because there's not always an opportunity to take 15 minutes in the morning and 15 in the afternoon. And again, it's just the nature of the position. That's what activities does. Bringing work home, unfortunately, I know we're not supposed to do that. But like a teacher, I know Margaret was a teacher, you're always thinking about activities. You're always, if you come across something on Facebook that you see, oh, that would be great, we could try it here. I have some residents that will send suggestions. So it's always on our minds. It's a never ending, I know for me personally, thought that it's even when you check out of work, it's still on your mind. Oh, I could have done this better. All right, let's try this. So there's a lot that goes into planning the activities.
And there's so many of them going on, and each, as we said before, each unit has a different level and a different group of activities. There's some that they can each do, and some that they cannot. Well, it's a wonderful sounding program, but all programs have challenges. So what are some of the challenges that you are facing currently?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question about the different programming each unit and the challenges of those. So we have a memory care unit where right now we have a very active group of residents, very enthusiastic. So your planning will reflect that. A year ago, it was a different population. The needs were different. And the type of activity that we provided was different. It was a lot more one-on-one, maybe not as much as cognitively challenging because the residents weren't as capable. It was more music, more pet therapy, more art therapy. Now it's, as I said, it's a completely different population. So the activities will reflect that. On skilled nursing, there's a lot of residents that are more dependent upon us than there would be on assisted living. There's a lot more sensory programming going on in skilled, a lot more pet therapy, sensory stimulation, which is activities that appeals to all the different senses, baking, creative arts, tactile, hand massages, things like that. And assisted living, right now, those folks are a lot more able, and a lot of them come over to IL to enjoy activities over here. And one of the challenges we're facing on assisted living is because a lot of folks are coming over here, or we have newly admitted residents, and they're not coming to the group activities that we plan. So we want to go to them to make sure we're addressing whatever needs or wants that they have. For whatever reason, maybe they're not interested in group activities, or they prefer to be in their apartments. So we want to make sure we're going to see them and providing enough visits, providing activities in their apartments should they want. And the same thing goes through for the other two units, providing activities in their rooms, talking books and painting supplies and things like that. It's just a different functioning level. And the challenge is to address everybody's interest and preference as best we can. With the need of sensory stim on our skilled unit, there are also a number of residents that are there from independent living for rehab. So those folks have a completely different interest on those who may be unskilled on a long-term basis. So we have to plan and appropriate for that, and making sure our rehab residents are still engaged, still coming over to events that they want to, and still involved, that they.
I know you've been looking at and planning for the future. So can you give us a glimpse at some of those future plans?
Absolutely. I am excited to say that is this working okay? Okay. Our internal program. It's coming in. Okay. We're planning more intergenerational programming. Most of us love children. So bringing the kids in, the youngsters, we're planning on bringing in hopefully a kinder music program, which is a licensed program where you have a kinder music teacher, and friends from the community will sign their children up, and they bring either the mother or the father or whatever adult companion brings the little one in. The teacher teaches the class, and the residents will be around the perimeter and participating with the class. And I've seen it work at Thompson House, and it's phenomenal. It's a wonderful opportunity that I hope we can make come through fruition. We've had wonderful residents who have children that were teachers, are teachers, bringing in their classes. That's been wonderful. Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops. If there's anybody in your family that you think they might want to bring in their little ones, Halloween is coming up. We need trick-or-treaters. So children, pets, and music seem to be the best activities that draw the most and the best responses from residents, regardless of your functioning ability.
So that would lead us right into talking about what's known at Woodland Pond as the Neighbor Corps. It is something that was started and set up by the members of the Health Center Committee, but Sue has been the responsible person in contacting the people that said they would volunteer. We got names, and that was about as much as we've done, but she has done that. I will first tell you that I have a little group over there, and I would encourage anyone to do what I do because it's very easy. I go over 1 hour each week, and I have what I call a chat group. And we just sit and talk. Sometimes I bring my friend Helen, who is a great game player, and she plays games with them. So it's sort of we do different things at different times. But I've enjoyed them thoroughly. We came to lunch last week and at our dining hall, and it's just really I get more out of it, I think, than they do, because I love their stories. And not that I'm much younger than they are, because I'm not, but in any case, they do have different stories, and it's great fun. So I encourage any of you, because that is something that anybody can do. I mean, we all love to talk, so it is something that you can do. So Sue will tell you some others.
I don't know if I enjoy talking in front of a group of people like this, or knowing that it's going to be online, but Margaret does do a wonderful job. We have Neighbor Corps friends that deliver the mail, which is a tremendous help to us. That's a time-consuming task where we could be spending time with the residents elsewhere. I have Neighbor Corps friends that are visiting in resident rooms, playing games, just visiting, taking people outside. I have two or three that are bringing now their dogs over, which is a big help. You can never have enough, for all of those pet lovers out there, you can never have enough visits with I have a cat, thanks to Lucy, and several dogs that come over and visit. What else? I think multiple visitors through one-to-one visits, which is especially helpful for residents who are, for one reason or other, most comfortable in their rooms. And taking people outside in the nice weather is a big help, because we just don't have the time to take out as many people as want to go and handle all the other residents with their different preferences and requests. Certainly, if anybody is interested, I have one gentleman that spends every Tuesday afternoon on our garden view. Martin does a wonderful job and keeps the residents engaged. Recently brought in a big bee's nest or beehive for someone who is a bee enthusiast and top in her field, I believe, in bee research. And to see her face light up with just having a wasp's nest on the table and being given that opportunity to share her knowledge about bees. It may seem little to many people, but it's tremendous. So Martin does a beautiful job on our Garden View unit. Reading to people, doing video calls for residents. A lot of the times the residents are not able to maybe dial the phone as much, or they don't hear the phone ringing. Doing the video calls, they get to see their loved one, and their loved one gets to see them. As I mentioned earlier, being able to participate in a wedding that was out in California, and the resident was able to be there. It's all the difference in the world it makes. I just also wanted to mention a couple other things that I don't know that most people realize what goes into activities. And I just to give you an idea, when we're planning activities, things such as where people sit and who they sit next to is important. I'm sure we're all creatures of habit. We have our spots. Some people want to sit next to select people, or if Mrs. Jones is tapping the bingo chip, we know not to put Mrs. Smith next to Mrs. Jones. There's a lot of thought that goes into activities that most people have no idea that we have to think of. Providing food, we have to make sure diets, if somebody has thickened liquids or they're on a lactose intolerant, a lactose-free diet, well, we can't give that person ice cream, but what else can we give them? So there's a lot of considerations, and I'm happy to discuss with anybody one-on-one if you're interested. But it's not, there's a website, it's not just bingo, and it's not. Years ago, a lot of people thought, oh, it's just coloring and bingo. But it's a lot more therapeutic, and it's a lot more resident-centered and trying to meet individual resident interests and preferences. And I know as we age, sometimes our interests change. I know my mom was a big reader, and as she got older, unfortunately, and as she got ill, reading was not important to her anymore. So we would read to her, or we would use talking books. And that's what we have to be aware of as folks' interests change. I also mentioned to someone that it's always a work in progress. What you can do today and maybe tomorrow you may have difficulty. And as things change, whether physically or cognitively, we have to be there to address the change and adapt to what you're still able to do and introduce those new interventions, approaches. So I have pages of things that we have to think of. And as I said, I'm happy to discuss it with anybody if you're interested, but I don't want to take up too much time.
There have been a few changes in staff in the center. Those of you that go over there know especially that Sarah Motherway has gotten her dream job and going into the social services department. So we wish her well, but everyone will miss her. And of course, that position needs to be replaced. I've just wondered, what are the educational requirements for people that work there? And, what qualities do you think HR would consider when they're looking for staff?
Are you looking for a job, Margaret? No. Oh, I'd be happy to hire you. You have many. Well, we'd love someone with experience, but it doesn't always have to be someone with a high school education, bare minimum. And that could be a GED, doesn't matter. I always say if you have the it factor and you know it upon meeting somebody, if they have it, personality, compassion, patience, enthusiasm, sense of humor. I have had folks that have worked for me from housekeeping, nurses' aides that didn't necessarily have activity experience, but they had the it factor, and they were the best employees I've ever had. Our girls, I keep calling them girls, but our ladies in our department, we have a music therapist, Jane, who is now our Garden View program coordinator, is certified from NCAP, as is Cynthia, just got her certification. Well, Cynthia is the music therapist. Jane and Cynthia play ukulele, guitar, and keyboard. They're the musicians. I can't carry a tune in a bag, but I'm happy to clap and be enthusiastic. It depends on what you have to bring to the table. If you're crafty, that's great. If you can sing, if you play an instrument, that's great. It's really what you have to bring to the table, your personality. We have held some really great interviews with potential candidates, and it's nice to see the interest, and I think the wonderful reputation that Woodland Pond has is drawing some really strong candidates to replace Sarah, which I'm glad to say that, as I said, Jane is taking Sarah's position, and we've been fortunate enough to get another full-time employee in our department. So we're interviewing for that person. Siobhan Moyer, I don't know if she's known too much over here, but she's a unit assistant over in the health center. She's been brought on board, so she will be replacing Jane on assisted living. So we're still filling out that. We have put out an offer for the replacement for the new person. I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied.
I'll give you a chance to finish anything else you wanted to tell us, and then we're going to take some questions from the audience. And when we do that, you do need to use the mic because it is being recorded, and also the other people would like to hear your question in your voice. So is there anything else, Sue, that you'd like to share with us?
Do I have enough time?
You have all the time you want.
Another thing that I do is a population analysis. It sounds fancy, but it's just going through every single resident and seeing, determining where their functioning and levels are based on physical and cognitive, and the extent to which they participate in activities. Those who are completely independent, I don't worry so much about them because they're active and they don't need us as much. Those who may be somewhat dependent, I'm concerned. I want to make sure that they're busy, and especially those who are requiring sensory stimulation, those who need the one-on-one, those who are more at risk for isolation. Those folks are the ones that we pay a lot of attention to, and or those who have unique interests. So it's again, it's not just we put music on the calendar and a bingo. A lot of thought goes into what we plan. We try to appeal to the masses while also planning time for the individual interests and preferences, taking folks out into the garden and harvesting all the wonderful vegetables that they planted, washing them up and serving them for salsa or whatever the menu may be. Generally speaking, we have at least 4 activities a day on each unit. And as I mentioned earlier, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't mean we're still doing one-on-ones. We're still doing those video calls, taking folks outside, bringing folks over here to a program. And I think that's all I wanted to mention.
Okay. So Yakov is going to pass the microphone if anybody has some questions for Sue.
Sure.
Go ahead. Would you many of us don't know what goes on. Can you talk about some of the other things that you bring in for the residents in the health center?
Okay, I'll try this. We bring in entertainers. We bring in musicians, piano players, guitar players, singers. Would love to bring in more educational type activities. If any of you or any of your friends might be interested in putting on a lecture or a presentation, especially on our assisted living floor, we're looking for more educational type programming. We have a gentleman that comes over and does a travel program quarterly, and he shares his travel pictures and music from that. Classrooms, having the kids come in. I have a couple of new musicians that are coming in September. Who else do I have? Oh my goodness. There's a variety. More pet therapy volunteers. People call up and say, oh, I have this to offer. I can offer you a yoga program, exercise, Zumba. I'm sorry, Pat? Oh gosh, yes. The talent that we have here in our own backyard, the dulcimer, the handbell choir, the woodland pond choir. We have a wonderful batch of folks here that have a lot to share. So I am more than willing. Just give me a call and we'll put you on the calendar.
Yes, I wanted to ask how fluid is the activities of activity department with the OT in the sense of adaptation of activities.
I'm sorry.
Okay, is there some relationship? Because let's say OT is focused in activities to do in a different for a different view, yes.
Mhm.
But if you need to adapt, or you spoke about sensor integration,
Mhm.
or that is a modality of OT, as I wanted to know how much is the collaboration between the RIAV department and the activities department in the.
That's a great question. We collaborate. I will ask Jonathan, our rehab director, for some guidance when related to exercise, but there is a lot of overlap in occupational therapy in that we're doing similar exercises, similar tasks that they do in occupational therapy. You know, a lot of dexterity type activities. Keep I'm sure maybe some have arthritis like I do. Making sure in exercise we're addressing those types of things and getting guidance and advice. Rehab is definitely something that's important.
I have a question. You mentioned that you have a staff. How big is your staff? And the other question is, what needs you feel that you would like to, matched, both in terms of technology and of terms of our residents here, that many of us are candidates to be in different sections at Woodland Pond, but while there is a lot of resources, human resources among the residents. So where do you feel that, you would like, to get people to do things?
Well, I have a wonderful team. As I mentioned, Cynthia is the activities coordinator. She's the second lady in command, I guess. She's a music therapist, but she can do anything. She is a dynamo with technology, and I can't say enough about her assistance and support of me. She also brings her beautiful dog May in every Tuesday, so that's a nice bonus too. Jane is recently certified, and she's now the Garden View program coordinator. As I mentioned, she brings a lot to the table. She plays the ukulele, she can sing, she can play the keyboard, as can Cynthia. Each one of us has something different to bring to the table. Siobhan, I know I haven't worked with her yet, but just knowing the artwork that she's done on the daily boards and whatnot, and in talking with her, she's got some great ideas that she wants to offer the assistant living residents. And I don't want to forget our ambassador of cheer, Arlene Wilson. I have been doing this for 36 years, and never have I been in a place or heard of any community that has had an ambassador of cheer. Arlene's job is just that. She brings joy, she brings cheer to people, always laughing, and she is a tremendous help. She brings people up. Gosh, I hope that's not mine. No. She is a cheerleader, and I can't say enough of what Arlene does. She also supports everybody in the department if they need help. And just the support that she gives residents, the shoulder, sometimes somebody needs, a little extra TLC. But 9 times out of 10, you'll see Arlene bopping up and down the hall with a smile. Residents are laughing. She does a great job as well. As far as what we need, I would love to have more folks, especially from IL, bring your talents, your knowledge, your creativity to the great room. We need people to present on travel or any hobbies you may have had and you want to share with people. If you, I don't know, you majored in science and maybe you could do a program on space, anything. Nothing is off the table. Technology, I'll include myself. I don't know everything about these darn phones. Getting help, a lot of the residents could use assistance with their phones, assistance with their computers. We use IT often, but somebody to just help a friendly face to help, adjust with the email or putting in new numbers for their telephone. I can't say enough that we have such a wonderful pool here that I would love to tap into, our folks here. Our backyard.
I just want to say thank you to you. The idea that the head of an activities department, a large institution, works on the weekend. I mean, I deliver the mail on Saturdays, and there you are. And that's just an unheard of thing. Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that it's been a huge relief and a sustaining feeling for me as a spouse of a person who's in the health center. And I just think that you all do a fantastic job in every way. And it makes me feel like I can kind of go on and live my life as much as I can here. So all in all, I just feel, Clay is safe and has accepted where he is. And I just feel comfortable about it, which is gigantic. So.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's important, and I know it's tough to see friends or spouses in a different level or a different light if, heaven forbid, something happens and there's cause to be in the health center or the memory care unit. I encourage you to come and see activities. Come and see what we do, and maybe it will take some of that fear out of some folks. I think there is some trepidation going through the doors to the health center, but it doesn't have to be that way. There is a lot of joy. It's everyone's family. And Pat had raised a good thought that there is spiritual support. We do have clergy, rabbi, a whole network of support from folks in our community that will come and provide services or one-to-one. I know on Wednesday mornings, there's an interfaith meditation, or in our meditation room, an interfaith prayer group. Everybody's welcome. It's really a great place. You just have to take that first step. And I appreciate you saying that, Ruth. Yeah. Thank you.
I want to mention also that a few of us had opportunities to work with you and try to integrate and break a little bit the barriers or the artificial barriers. One of those activities was initiated by Kitty to try to bring the Repair Cafe to the health center. We have some ideas about improving it and doing it because we are going to do another one. And I hope that we will get much more attendance from assisted living and from the other sections of the health center. So we still need to do more work.
And it's great to have IL events come to the health center because, as I'm sure you can imagine, it's hard for us to transport as many residents who would probably want to attend over here. So I appreciate the tremendous effort that went into putting the Repair Cafe on. And I also, in working with Carrie, our new activities coordinator here in IL, we're hoping to do a lot more collaborative programming and getting the two communities, I guess, together and breaking down that barrier. But also there's a lot of joy here that we want to bring folks to. And I appreciate you saying that, Yakov.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming, and I have enjoyed and learned a great deal from Sue today, and I'm sure that all of you have as well. So, thank
That bad? Wasn't that bad?